Hello friends, how are you today? It is another beautiful day. It's very chilly in Worcester, but that is not news. It's really, we are really getting into the thick of things, and we actually expected a storm this weekend, but it rained instead. It rained a lot yesterday. It rained a lot instead of storming. So today I want us to talk about forming a relationship with God, because I've realized that the reason why some people don't pray or don't trust God for big things or the things they actually desire in their lives is because they're intimidated and they think God will not hear them, because they do not know the truth. They do not believe in the promises that they read. And I think this stems out of our upbringing, or how we personally attach to other people in the relationships we are in. And let us take it as far back as how we relate to our parents. Are we confident in that relationship? You know the society we come from, yeah, for most people, I know it's not the case for everyone, but most of us didn't grow very tight with our parents. It's like, there was a distance. Actually, we were discussing with my son today, and he's telling me, Mom, you're really really improving. You can listen, and your responses are not as bad as they used to be. And for real, I'm so eager to learn, and I feel like I have missed a lot just because I didn't know better then, yeah? And so you find the kind of way that we've been associating with other people, the kind of attachments we've had, especially if you've been disappointed a lot. So depending on your character, depending on your personality, sometimes perhaps you got scared. There's people who always know how to deal. And I talk about these things because I know the kind of attachment I have to people is not the most secure. In fact, I would call myself either I'm some place between fearful and avoidant, yeah, like and I think now more than ever I'm very avoidant. Like, if I see something is not working out the way I would wish for it to, or if I come with a genuine heart and I'm hoping we can attach securely, and I realize that this is not working, perhaps it's my fault or the other person's fault, I have been avoided, and I also avoid in that I can create space, and that seems to work, but it's not always so healthy. But it has led me to understand, or to seek the truth in all these things, yeah? How we attach to other people, what our attachment style is, and why, and if we can perhaps come to heal all of that. I know in our world today, there's so much information out there, and it's quite interesting. I love learning about especially psychological stuff, and it's very fascinating to just see how people relate. And especially for me, because I think I've mentioned before and said I want to be open, so that if should I come to across somebody who is like me and who has grown up thinking that they're wrong for being themselves, then they can, relate. It's very important to love oneself as you are. But if you are not taught that, or if the world you've lived in has shown you like there's something wrong with the way you attach, and it could be true, the way you show up in relationships, the way you show up in the communal places may not be appealing to people, and you find that things don't work for you the way you expect. And what happens? You always try to redefine yourself. You always try to change yourself, restructure, and come in a certain way that you think is right, instead of stepping back, learning yourself, knowing yourself, and showing up as yourself, whether people like it or not. They realize that this person is actually like this, and it seems to work for them. So the earlier like we can learn to love ourselves and accept ourselves, the better. But at the same time also we have to shun what is not good, because we are all in the process of growing, whether we are securely attached people, whether we cope very well in the society or we don't. We have to learn what is it that is not serving you personally, yeah, before you even go to the next person. Because when you love you, when you serve you, then you're better able to relate with other people. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and fortress, my God, in Him I trust. Yani, it is so beneficial to just spend time in the presence of God, because that's where you grow, that's where you become a mighty person of God. One point I would say is trusting in His word, and that only comes out of hearing His word and reading His word. And you know, the Bible says that faith comes out of hearing, and hearing what? The word of God. Sometimes you're even unable to read for yourself, and you find that listening just rejuvenates you, yeah. And in my journey, I found God in every season of my life sending me someone that I could listen to. And actually that is how sometimes I know who is of God, because when God sends you a particular person who has a word that or an answer to the question that's been on your mind, you just know that that was God who sent you that person. So trusting in His word, because you know His word. Have you ever seen a person you would tell, trust in His promises, and it's like, which promises? How do I know His promises upon my life? You find that in His word, you know, because you've spent time with Him and now you know what He says, yeah. Using past experiences should be our second point, yeah. So I hope you got the first one is trusting in His word, and I won't expound so much because it is basically just studying the word. Even if you're alone or you're going to a church, listening, hearing on YouTube, man, nowadays you can learn anywhere, yeah. You can download an audio Bible and just hear Him all the time. Sleep with the word in your ear. Let your spirit interact with His word, and you will see just things changing, because His word never comes down and returns to Him void, according to Isaiah 55, yeah. Kama mvua ishukavyo toka mbinguni kwenye ardhi, na neno lake kwa kinywa chake halitarudi bure. Using past experiences is our second point, and I would say that comes out of experience, out of having seen Him do mighty things. So like, how can you see God perform great miracles and go back, you know? Even if you go back, even if you stop believing, even if you think, oh, maybe that was bound to happen, maybe that was always in my life, you have to think the Bible is as recent as tomorrow's news, because everything that has happened in your life, you will open your Bible one day and just find it there, even if it happened without you knowing that particular word, yeah. If there's a set time for something to happen, yeah, and then it happens and you realize everything that you're seeing happen is actually already written, because you're not the first person to have a breakthrough, you're not the first person to experience His presence, you know, or miracles. Your forefathers experienced that since the beginning of time, you know. And the word is rich in that it has all our experiences that we'll ever experience in there, no matter how much our world progresses, you know. And so using your past experiences, you can see that whenever you encounter something, you're like, I know He will do it again, just like He did it the last time, or even in a different way. You have expectations in Him, and you know, you have no sometimes not even expectations. You have confidence in him. And that is why you will reach a place where, I don't know if you've ever encountered somebody who is ahead of you in experience, and you tell them a problem or you're worried about something, and they're like, don't worry, God will come. He will come and save you. And you're like, no, I need to hear more. But this person is confident that it is in your journey that you will discover this kind of God, yeah? And you will learn, because where I am now, seeing what God has done and realizing his love for me, that even when I thought that he wasn't in my life, or he didn't care, or he wasn't seeing me because I wasn't used to feeling like I was seen or heard, and then you see him working great and mighty miracles in your life, and you realize, oh, you were here all along. It just breaks me. It makes me soften so much towards him, towards his goodness for me, you know. So past experiences will tell you that your God is still coming. He will come, he will show up, he will still do great and mighty things in your life, just like he did before. Okay. Looking to him, our third point, looking to him and not at others, not comparing your life to others. You know, I've seen this entitlement in ourselves, yeah, in us as humans, where you're even unable to pray because you're thinking, God, why am I suffering this much when you've done this for somebody else? And I might have mentioned this in the first videos that when my husband left for Canada, and I was thinking that we will also apply and get it just like him, not knowing that this guy had worked in so many ways in the secret. And I say secret, even though I saw all these things and I could testify, this guy in our childbearing and raising years, he was always reading a book. Always, like, whatever little money he got, he would go to, you know, second-hand book sellers and buy a book, you know. These things didn't not just happen. He was feeding his hobby, you know. He was feeding his interest. He took care of that, you know. He didn't just wait for it to fall in his laps. This guy would have one kid seated on his shoulder, doing things on his hair, and another lying across his tummy, or however way they sit, as long as he has a space for his book. He's reading, he's learning. Whenever he hears about, and you know, those were not even social media days. I don't even know how he used to get to know that there is an expo somewhere in a mall somewhere, and he would go and meet these people, you know. So things will happen to someone, and they were doing all these things under your nose, and now you're wondering, why is it happening to them? Weren't you here? Didn't you see everything that this person was doing? Didn't you see them running that day to town? Because every little thing matters, especially to God. He wants you to take a step, and when you do, he's just, you know, he's just feeling you in every way, right? So I hope you get what I'm saying. Don't compare your life, because while you're looking, God is talking to you over here, like, look at this. I want you to do this. This is my assignment for you, you know. And when you fulfill this, I'm gonna bring you to even a higher point than the person you think you will die watching, because grand things are happening for him. And sometimes we feel bad because we never expected these things to be so huge, or to cause separation, you know, to bring a season where you have to adjust to the actual blessing, because adjusting is also a challenge. I remember one time I was in college and I was having a hard time coping after he left, and one friend of mine, this guy, he spoke these words to me, and no wonder I treasure words, because a lot of words that have been spoken to me, I remember, you know. The problem is I remember the good and the bad, and I know other people do too. So he said to me, blessings will always need adjustment. If you don't adjust to what has just happened, you might not be able to cope. And that really made me think, and that is why it's important to hear these things and learn, because people drop gems all the time, but sometimes we are too preoccupied to hear, to learn what these other people know, because it can come from anybody. Yeah, so don't compare. Look to him, seek him while he may be found, so that at the right time, when you're doing the right thing, these things will just come and they will seem like they just fell on your laps. So trusting God for everything is our fourth point. Where is it in the Bible that says some trust in chariots, but we trust in the name of the Lord? And sometimes we fear, sometimes we are confused about what is happening. And instead of trusting that God will come through, even after all the experiences, we start to doubt, we start to panic, when something changes, or, especially when you're growing. Growth has this way of making you feel like you're dying. I went through a season, and I love speaking from my experience, because as I grow, I feel like, what if I don't stay and somebody else is going through that and wondering, where can I find an answer? And I'm busy here talking and not helping somebody who is actually looking. In my times of growth, I've tried so much to listen to God and to be sensitized to what he was doing in a season, but sometimes it felt so foreign to me. Like I would be like, why is this happening? Why is this supposed to be for me? This is so unfamiliar. And I would even ask for people who have gone ahead of me, or sometimes just be out there researching, like, is this normal? Is this feeling normal? Or sometimes I would just bump into something because maybe God knows that I need to see this and learn, And I would come across even memes like that, messages like that growth sometimes feel like you're dying, because totally you feel like, this is so unfamiliar, this is so strange, it's gonna take me out, But that's not the plan. Expansion is occupying places you haven't been in, haven't been here, you don't know anything about this, and suddenly you're supposed to occupy, and you're wondering, can I do it right? Yeah, sometimes you get blessings perhaps, and it's so hard to adjust, because you're like, is this mine? Do I deserve this? What did I do to deserve this? Especially when your life is a bit funky, because like I said, and I warned you from the beginning, traveling away from home, or even just expanding or having some kind of growth, will have you separated. And sometimes it's not the most natural thing. Sometimes it's you forming boundaries because you've realized that this relationship is not serving me, or somebody withdrawing from your life because they realize that the relationship they have with you is not serving them. And then you realize every time you want to relate with this kind of energy, it's withdrawn. And you're realizing, oh my God, I'm not supposed to have this in my life. In my next season, I cannot take this with me, even though this is what I'm used to, right? And God is removing this thing. Maybe he's removing your gossip buddies whose relationship with you was so warm and so familiar, where you could vent and live not feeling guilty because you're validating each other. And God is like, no, now you're growing, you're stepping into a new season, and I need you to be like this. I need you to step like this. I need you to walk like this. Yeah? Perhaps you've been in a way where you didn't used to walk confidently, and that used to serve some people. Yeah? Because when they snap their fingers, you will run all over trying to fulfill what they need for you to fulfill. And suddenly you're like, no, I have my own stuff to do. I cannot do this. Yeah? When people used to snap their fingers and you would do things, you're like, no, now I cannot. Or perhaps for me to do this, I have this many conditions, or even if it's one condition, I need you to come right. I need you to approach different. Yeah? And I know people would be like, oh, Naringa Sasa, why did you used to do this? Because that was the past. I've changed now. I'm a different person. Do you think you can relate with me like this? Do you think you can accord me the same respect that I give you? Do you think you can talk right to me and not just anyhow? Yeah? Growth will come with some changes that might not, sometimes you'll even want to play small so that you can fit into the places you used to be. But it's not like that, yeah? And sometimes it feels like, oh my God, what if I lose all these people? And you're so worried about losing people that are not worried about losing you. Yeah? And God is like, come up. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. You have me. Can you trust that? Can you come to the places I'm taking you? And perhaps sometimes the doors have to shut for a while so that you even go and prepare for these people that you're so worried of losing. So you have to trust God so much and follow him and, be focused on what he's doing in the season, because as bad and unfamiliar as it feels, you have to actually step into it, because the only thing you cannot get back is time. And this time he's calling you. He wants you to obey. He wants you to step into the season like you're supposed to. And as much as it's hard, it's difficult, you have to let go. And when we're speaking about God issues and the issues that happen in life, it's like a two-edged sword. I know some people feel like that and they have to let you go, yeah, as you also let them go. It's double-edged. People have their lives. Even our children have their own lives, yeah. We can't hold them hostage. Everybody has to go and do them, otherwise they'll never fulfill their purpose, right? Yeah. I had a story once of actually it was a TikTok, and this lady was saying that a stranger came into a town and he was received by a family. I think he asked for directions or something, or maybe it was late and he needed to be hosted. And so he came into this family, and this family had been poor, and they gave him what they could from what they used to do is take milk from their cow, and they would, like serve it as a meal, of course with other things, but anyway, they would serve the milk because it's what they had. They had one cow that used to provide milk, and that is what they would serve to them family and also to the guests. And this guy was really touched. This family has shared a meal with me. And so while in the town, he went to a wise man and said, this family seems to be poor, but they did help me and they fed me milk for this time. What can I do to repay them? According to you, the family, all that. I cannot ask them directly, but I swear there was not this much explanation in the story. But he asked the wise man, what can I do for this family? And the guy says, kill the cow. Dude is like, what? Kill which cow? The cow that's giving them milk? How? And he says, that's what I'm telling you. That's what you have to do in order to do good to the family. And so he goes away like that. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. He comes later in a different season and he finds that the cow actually died. And so he runs into the son of the family and he finds him running a shop. And he says, what happened to your cow? And he said, what happened to you guys? And he said, oh, after the cow died, we had to go out and look for work. And dad doing this, mom doing this, everybody is working now and helping in this type of work so that we can get an income. And then he understood what the wise man was saying. Sometimes something has been to be removed for people to actually function. Sometimes our friendships are not serving us. Sometimes our relations are not, saving us. They're not working to our advantage. Sometimes we are needed to stand, each person on their own. Many times I feel like I should save my kids from suffering, like I should save them from what they have to face, especially with the weather issues, And they're like, no, mom, I'm fine. And they're so focused on going and doing what they need to do to make a life for themselves. And I'm over here trying to be the barrier, being like, oh God, you can't go out like that. Do you have to go work out like this? Do you have to, oh, your leg is hurt, don't go run? And child is like, Mom, this is something I have to do. Our kids have commitment to other people, and strange as it may seem, they're committed to fulfilling that. But we could be their block. We could be blocking them from what they need to do to achieve their own greatness. You understand? So we have to let go. We have to let go and trust God that, you know, friends are friends forever. Because God is the God of us, you know. It doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be war, you know, a drawn out war. We can trust God that the seasons that brought us together would come back again, and we get to see each other again and live life again, hard as it may seem, doing some seasons without our loved ones. Yeah, so we trust God more. Yeah. Another way to form a relationship with Him is to coming to Him as you are. And that should have been the first point. Coming to Him as you are. Forming a vulnerable relationship with God. I'm never able to say that word correctly. But forming a vulnerable relationship with God. Being genuine with Him, not putting up airs or something. Not explaining to Him how holy and good you are, and that you did your part in this, and you did good in this. No, coming to Him as you are. Making time with Him and just approaching the throne of mercy, so that whatever you've done, whether good or bad, you can obtain mercy by having a communion with Him. Coming to Him as you are, evil as you are, yeah, wrong as you are, hurtful as you are, coming to Him like that, so that you learn by experience to trust Him and look upon Him, whether things are good, whether you've been so successful out there with your relations and you're feeling good, you're feeling, you know, like you're the great relator, but just being able to withdraw from the world, even when it's working so well, and coming as you are before Him, before the throne of mercy. Yeah. So if God calls you to a place where you have to be alone, sometimes you have to do life with just Him, do not fear, you know. And sometimes you will feel like you're alone because nothing is happening out there. And you come back feeling like you don't have a relationship with Him either, and you're wondering, what am I going to do? I have no one. He still has His arms open wide for you. Like, you can come back, baby, anytime. You're my baby, you're my sugar. So do not fear. Isaiah 41:10. For I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Those who rage against you will surely be ashamed and disgraced. Those who oppose you will be as nothing and perish. Though you search for your enemies, you will not find them. Those who wage war against you will be as nothing at all. I'm reading this Bible just to reassure you that no matter what, you can come to God and form a relationship with Him, and you'll be secure no matter what you lose. So trust in Him and you'll be okay. Be vulnerable with Him. He will take care of you. He will normalize those seasons that feel like they're out of your grip, when you have to step out of what you know and just trust Him as your maker, your Father, your love, the one who cares about you. So thank you so much for listening once again. Do subscribe if this is your jam, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.